I've been a little bit indecisive about making this video for two major reasons. Number one, naturally a lot of people have already made videos on this topic. Number two, this whole conversation I find incredibly stupid, and I really shouldn't be paying much attention to it, but there was a deep part inside me that thought, no, you gotta say something. You're the main Abyss manga guy, you gotta talk about it. So, here we are. If you haven't heard about it already, a bunch of K-pop idols are currently being cancelled for the grim task of watching Main Abyss. They watch Main Abyss. Now, before this video begins, I should preface a few things. Firstly, to majority of the K-pop fandom, I actually want to apologize to you because I know for a fact there's been a whole bunch of anti-K-pop fan culture recently on Twitter, when in actuality, while the people who are making these claims are a large pool of people, that large pool doesn't completely define the entirety of K-pop stan and culture. I want you to know that you're represented and we understand. Secondly, this video is going to tackle some pretty taboo and intense topics, so viewer discretion is advised. That being said, most of you are Main Abyss fans anyway, so I'm pretty sure you know what I'm tackling, but thought I'd leave that disclaimer out there just in case. So the cancellation of these idols is based on a section of the K-pop fandom having an incredibly intelligent argument. Because they are fans of this show, that means that they agree and advocate for every little aspect of the series. The aspects of the children being in semi-suggestive circumstances, as well as the natural gore that is the series. Now, most people watching this video are Main Abyss fans, so you would naturally know about the semi-suggestive sequences I'm talking about in this video. And they also know for a fact that that aspect of the show is so minute compared to everything else that makes the series what it is. The problem I'm seeing stems from a lack of awareness from outsiders looking in. Outsiders who feel the need to shun people who are below them on the morally correct material plane, by shunning people who enjoy a series that may have to tackle some pretty controversial things. I really feel for Mushoku Tensei fans. Y'all deal with this on a daily basis. Now guys, I will admit, certain aspects of this series is incredibly questionable. There's no argument to be made. Those questionable aspects of the series are at times very, very off-putting. Like most people, I don't love absolutely everything about this series. That being said, pardon my French, it's a fucking anime. Like, who gives a shit? Are we really trying to ruin people's lives because they watched an anime? Like, sure, I can make the argument that Akihito makes some images that I legitimately cannot defend. There are some bonus chapters, and I'm specifically talking more about Door Beetle, where I personally don't feel that it's just art is a good defense for. But that's just me personally. But that does not mean that as a writer, illustrator, or even enjoyer of his works, does that make us advocates for those ideas and themes? That does not make Akihito and any of those who enjoy his works advocates for pedophilia and child abuse. That is such a fucked up accusation to make. Yet this section of the K-pop community are basing their very argument on this idea. While most of us have done the smart thing and just scoffed this off like it doesn't matter, because this whole ordeal is just pointless, I personally really want to talk openly about this topic. As Main Abyss is a franchise that means a lot to me, and to a lot of people. I really want to talk openly about this topic, because I'm an avid fan of Main Abyss. Hell, I animate the manga here on YouTube. I'm an avid fan of Akihito and his works, and funnily enough, I've misrepresented Akihito in the past before. I've made the very mistake of assuming I know his intentions behind certain art pieces. And that's wrong. Even I can fuck up in the comment section sometimes. Alright, let's get into it. TXT Subin faces criticism for watching a problematic anime. More male idols also take heat. Ooh, what a saucy title. I'm sure it won't be filled with completely unjust and absolutely ridiculous claims. In fact, I bet my left nut on it. Oh, what was that? Oh, that was the sound of my left nut disappearing. Great start, article. Netizens are now uncovering receipts of certain K-pop idols who have admitted to watching Main Abyss, with one of them being TXT's leader, Subin. He stated in a live broadcast last year that the anime was so much fun. His quote, "The second season of Main Abyss is coming out right now. To be honest, I didn't think the first season was that much fun, but the second season is so fun. It's not an anime that I want to recommend to you because it's kind of provocative, but the story is really good and I'm having fun watching it." Okay, Subin, a few things. This is indeed a very controversial statement. When I look back in this, I'm filled with envy, rage even. What do you mean Season 1 wasn't fun? Yeah, Best Girl Ozen's in it. And also, that's the Nanachi arc. And the Shroom Bears. What about the Shroom Bears? Nah, you deserve to be cancelled. Being real though, this only makes Subin look better. Not only does this prove that he just has immaculate taste in anime, but he also puts out a disclaimer, letting people know that, hey, there are some themes that are very prominent in the series that are very uncomfortable to deal with. So literally, the quote you've provided in your article to denounce him has undone your argument. He's aware of the semi-suggestive tone of the series, but in his statement, he straight up says he likes it for the plot. He's aware of the semi-suggestive nature of the series, but outlines pretty clearly he's enthralled by the story and the mystery elements of it. Your attempt at labeling this guy a pedophile was undone by the very thing you used to try to label him as one. Even he is aware of that very basic and simple fact that those moments don't define what makes Made in Abyss such a great, compelling narrative. These moments don't define the series you're actively attacking. In fact, speaking of those very specific moments, you've all made me do some research I really didn't want to do. Like, God, this is gonna make me look absolutely awful, but when it comes to arguments, I like to ground mine in fact. But the writer of this article wouldn't know a thing about that. So looking into moments that stick out as controversial, based on majority of Made in Abyss's audience, to dialogue that pertains to some weird ideas and discussion, the total runtime of this franchise, that being a movie in 2 seasons, equates to about 731 minutes. We don't know how much time is made up of these moments that you're using to bring down the mangaka and these idols who simply indulge in his work. You are using a sample size of 2 minutes and 49 seconds worth of content. And that's me extending time out to let certain scenes breathe a bit. To assume that a small, not even 3% of the series is used to define that series as a whole is one of the most barbaric things I have heard all year. I have heard COVID deniers, flat earthers, hell, even Uramange sensei enjoyers talk more sense than you people have. This small collective of the K-pop fandom is assuming some really, really awful and criminal things about people without any evidence to back it up. They're making these claims without any kind of context or true understanding of what they're even talking about in the first place. You don't know this idol's views. You're just assuming them. This article mentions Taeyong, another idol who, in an Instagram post, took a picture of his red boots, and in the corner you can see volume 11 of Made in Abyss, you know, which naturally would mean, oh, he's probably a fan of the franchise. Now, I will give credit where credit's due. This article did get one thing right. It does proclaim that the manga naturally has some more visually intense imagery in it compared to the anime, both in the context of the gore and the suggestive content. Naturally, certain moments have been censored in the anime, as well as my manga motion adaptation here on YouTube. And look, for good reason. But again, as someone who's animating the manga here on YouTube, I don't personally think he's quite crossed that line to make his work an issue of legality. Yes, it's weird. Yes, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to defend certain depictions of his children in his works, because even I get a little bit, I don't love what I'm looking at. But to define people reading this material that has this stuff in it as a collective group of pedophiles is really fucked up. To assume a writer/illustrator and their audience naturally condone themes and ideas present in their works is an incredibly brain-dead take. Like, do I condone putting little animals in bowls and then using them to fight other animals? Obviously not, but it's a work of fiction. I draw dicks all the time. Does that mean I want to suck them? Yes, obviously. People can purchase questionable material. I've done it. Does it mean I agree with everything that's in it? Of course not. I've purchased the entirety of Yasumi Punpun. Does it mean I agree with Inio Asano's pessimistic view on life or the things that the characters do to each other in this narrative? Fuck no. People can like whatever they want if it's not hurting people. I don't understand the argument. All this screenshot has proven to me is that Taeyong has stolen my volume 11 copy, because that thing still hasn't arrived since I ordered it. Taeyong, I'll make you a deal. What if you give me the copy? I'll bear the heat of everything if it means I get my copy quicker. I'll email you after the video. Moving on. 17's Woozy is also under fire for mentioning Made in Abyss in a Weverse Live, dating August 27th in 2022. He was asked to recommend an anime that he was watching recently and added this to his list. The one that I enjoyed recently these days, I enjoyed Uncle from Another World, I saw Komi Can't Communicate, I saw Jujutsu Kaisen, I saw Shikamori's Not Just a Cutie, and I saw Made in Abyss. The issue that people have, again, is that Made in Abyss is on this list. The points I've made previously apply here, so I'm not going to go over them again, but I will say one thing. An argument I've seen pretty commonly throughout the comment section on some of these things has been about his audience specifically. I don't know much about the industry, so again, take this with a grain of salt, but from what I'm reading, a lot of people have complaints because a lot of the people who follow this guy are quite young and impressionable. So one of the main complaints I'm seeing is, why is he recommending this series to impressionable people? He risks damaging their mental health. He knows their audience is young, so why would he advocate for this series? And here's what I have to say to that. He's not a babysitter. What do you mean? The dude is literally an adult. He can do what he wants. If he likes a show, he's allowed to say he likes a show. Also, Main Abyss in most regions is considered an R-rated show anyways, with some exceptions being in different regions where it's MA and sometimes M15+. It's streamed online too. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of like warning at the start that mentions, hey, the content you're gonna see might feature some disturbing imagery. And when you look at tags, you're gonna see gore, body horror, and violence anyway. That rule literally applies to media viewing. And all he did was mention shows he's watched. Like, he didn't actively say, yeah, go watch Main Abyss. He just listed ones that he enjoyed recently. And sure, you can make the argument, well, the question was, what anime would you recommend? But his response clearly says, these are the shows he's enjoyed recently. Not that he's recommending them. Atisa's Mingi, meanwhile, talked about liking Main Abyss during a fan call, naming it one of his favorite anime shows of all time. To quote, Main Abyss is one of my favorite animes of all time, but it is a bit grotesque. I think only one word can summarize how I feel about this. Based. Dude has immaculate taste is all I'm getting out of this quote. He has stated that clearly the series isn't for everybody, and is very much aware of its grotesque nature. What I'm failing to understand is how the community that so proudly seem to support him turn on him when he tells them what he likes, but he is also justifying why he likes it. He doesn't even owe you a justification, and yet he still did, and you still chew him out for it. Question, why in God's name would this man openly admit to being an avid fan of a series that's so infamous according to you people, so evil according to you people? I'll tell you why he said it. Because he's actually seen it. Finally, let's talk about Dex. He's a YouTuber who said in one of his videos that he enjoyed Main Abyss and enjoyed the bizarre and mind-blowing plot twist. Quote, personally, I have an anime that I'd like to recommend. It's called Main Abyss. Oh, cool. So, according to you, he's already outlined exactly why he likes the show, but sure, let's just ignore that? I know you've put these quotes in here to try to support your arguments, but you realize every time you've done that, you've just undone your point completely. In the same article, Dex has explained his reasoning behind why he likes the show, and yet you've completely ignored that fact and branded him to be a fan of the series' strange elements without any proof of that claim. Congratulations, you are a certified silly Billy. Oh, wow, oh man, oh that's incredible. This article attempts to defame Akihito through, I shit you not, some random Redditor's post. And that post is also in support of Akihito. It takes a real sick genius to be able to construct him so well. I just hope Main Abyss can be finished before the author goes to jail for pedophilia. I must call into question, though, the legitimacy of this post. Really? Main Abyss is some of the most fucked up shit you've ever seen? I envy you. You're somebody who's lived a very nice life, I imagine, who's not warped and twisted on some of the sickening things that come out of this medium. You're a manga sensei. But also, you realize Akihito is popular in Japan, right? He wouldn't be able to sell his copies and work on these giant projects if people didn't know about him and his backstory. He wouldn't be able to work with a criminal conviction. Naturally, getting funding for projects comes with a whole funnel of conversations with people way high up in the industry. People know about his work, so why isn't he locked up? I'll tell you, sweetheart, it's because it's fiction. It's a manga. It's not real. Wow, how shocking! The claims you're making in this article are purely based on speculation of his work, but you have no evidence to prove these claims. Akihito is a sick genius, but he's a genius nonetheless. And again, yeah, I know, he draws some really weird and very questionable things. But you don't know his intentions. You don't know the reason behind his art. You can only guess. But in actuality, he's made statements on Twitter before, proclaiming that there are certain things and ideas that can be explored in moments that do make people feel uncomfortable. And yes, I'm aware that some of his fetishes do seem to seep into his work, but that being said again, it's his art. And while I wish he wouldn't do that because it make my job easier as an animator, it's his story. It's his piece of work to do what he wants with it. This also uses a tweet to establish the fact that he has a mannequin with an elementary school girl's uniform in his room, and he often sniffs his Nanachi plushies. First of all, the video that's attached to this article actually explains why he has that school uniform on the little mannequin. He uses it as cross-reference when he's drawing his characters, and you see that pretty prevalently throughout the first couple episodes. But secondly, the inhaling of the Nanachi plushies is quite possibly one of the funniest things I have ever read, because the conclusions you have jumped to are absolutely insane. His inhalation of Nanachi is in direct reference to how he describes the Fluffy character as a character that smells like the sun. It's often mentioned in the series, and he clearly is playing into the meta-narrative that transcends his original work. And look, for all intents and purposes, let's say that he's merely inhaling it for the sake of it. So no meta-narrative or any of that stuff attached. Okay. So? It's his character. Like, yeah, it's weird, but he created this thing. It's a concept he's conducted in his brain. It's not real. Kind of like my sex life. And finally, the last line that is an attempt at trying to defame Akihito is one of the most abhorrent sentences that I have read on this article. This has no relation to the case at hand. Quote, "This is not the first time manga authors had a history with child pornography. In 2017, the author of the series, Rurouni Kenshin, was arrested for the possession of pornographic images of underage girls. To lump an artist who's just doing his own thing with a pencil in hand to that of somebody who owned literal child pornography is one of the most misguided and disgusting things you can do, especially if you're a self-proclaimed journalist. You have no idea what this person does in his free time. You're just making these assumptions based on absolutely nothing but speculation. And that's not cool, man. Friends, I have no idea how I'm going to end this video, so I'll just say this. Leave those idols alone. Don't fight in the comments. Main Abyss is epic and you can cry about it. Rico, lead us out with a fart. Thanks.